is your intuition actually adding anything?
Hey, it's Walter here, and you're at the Think Profit podcast, where we're going to help you develop a rock-solid trading confidence and avoid the potentially endless cycle of system switching. Right, Hugh?
That's right. We're going to help you develop a wealth mindset, develop a trading strategy that fits your core personality, and help you overcome the obstacles that stop over 90% of traders.
All right, Hugh, sounds good. You ready to go?
Yeah, let's do this.
Hey, Hugh, welcome back.
Thanks.
So I have a question here. This came up during our coaching clients call that we have with the coaching traders, and he's a really good trader, and he was talking about how he's back tested his strategy. He's now live trading. Okay, he's doing really good work with his psychology. He uses a hypnosis track that I gave him twice a day. He's good at journaling. He uses his subliminals. He's got an excellent track record trading, even with his live account, right? But he still questions himself, sees his rules. He sees the setup, right? He knows this is a valid setup, that he should take it, but he still thinks, should I be taking this setup? He still questions his abilities to interpret the charts as he should, even though he knows he's good at this, right? And this is kind of the backdrop, is that he's kind of transitioning over from back testing into live. I mean, he's been trading live for a little while now, but not that long. And he's just, he's at the point where he really wants to ramp up his account size and all that. So he's getting to this point where he's kind of questioning his abilities to interpret whether or not this is a tradable situation, right? What the markets are telling him. So what would you say about this?
Yeah, that's always a tough one, right? I think two thoughts on that. Like, number one, that might just be part of his personality and how he's wired. So he just might have to learn how to manage that. Two, which probably is more likely in my opinion, I was watching a Denise Scholl interview like a couple of days ago, and she was talking about how all these negative emotions that come up when we're trading link back to something else that happened in our life, right? Something that was programmed into us, something that our parents told us, something that society told us. And I think from her like traditional psychology standpoint, she says you have to kind of like just manage it, right? Manage it or stuff it down a little bit. And there's definitely some validity to that. And understanding where it came from, I think, in her opinion, is kind of like half the battle, and that kind of releases things. And it can, I believe. But I also believe that if there's something that you can't release through that method, I think it's some sort of trauma that's in your past that you have to like face and resolve. And that could be like before you were born, that could be when you're a kid, maybe you had a bad divorce or something like that. And a lot of these things have an impact on us that we don't realize the significance of. Like today, it might seem like a very insignificant thing, but back then it might have been a huge thing for you, and you might not have been able to process it at that time. And that could be causing what's, happening now. And she brought up a couple of examples of like, maybe not getting approval from your father or something like that. So, there's all kinds of things you can do for that, like hypnosis, whatever. There's a ton of modalities out there. But I think that's something to look at. If you're, obviously this guy is proven, this guy is successful, but he still doesn't have that confidence. So I think that would be something to look into. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I told him we'll put a link in this show notes for those people who are not familiar with Denise Scholl's book. You guys can check that out. Yeah, so he's taking the You Get What You Trade For course, which actually is very closely aligned with Denise Scholl's ideas. Mm-hmm. And so he said that's been useful, very useful to uncover those things, just like you were saying. So that's thing number one. And then the more sort of conscious thing I said was, to have your A grade trades. So you have like a printout or a screenshot of like the perfect trade and compare that to what you're looking at now, just to see, and to record your belief that the trade at the beginning of the trade, record when you take it, to record your belief that the trade will work out. How confident are you on a scale of 1 to 10, for example? And then after you have hundreds of trades, you can go back and look and see, is your intuition actually adding anything? Because you can use that, you could leverage that if it's true, right? Mm-hmm. It may be exactly what you're talking about, which is why he's going through the You Get What You Trade For course and, uncovering all that, because that's definitely probably number one, right? But it also could be that his intuition is actually saying, hey, watch out, this isn't a good one.
Yeah.
And it could be right. Now, I tend to think that's unlikely, but it's a possibility. So that's why you know what I mean? That's why I say record the data. So so work on your history and your psychology. Have a perfect example of a perfect trade so you can compare that to what you're looking at now, and then also record your intuition, feelings in your journal, so that again you can go back and you say, oh, okay, if I say it's an 8, 9, or 10, the trade is like twice as likely to work out and be profitable. And if it's below a 7, it's unlikely to be, it's more likely to be a loser. So do you know what I mean? Like you can do things like that. So I think it's like kind of that multi-pronged approach is what we were talking about. So I think, but definitely, it could, like, Denise is onto something. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, try everything basically. See
try everything. See what sticks. Use all methods. I mean, the way I look at it is like some of it is subconscious and some of it is more conscious, right? Some of it is for your logical mind, like, oh, this is a perfect trade, and oh, I think this is a 9 out of 10. Like that's for your logical everyday. And then there's the real deep thing, which stuff is what you were talking about. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thanks, Walter. Yeah.
All information in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and is not trading or investment advice.